The first time I saw her, she ordered a black coffee at exactly 3:47 p.m. I remember the time because my grandmother's antique clock on the wall chimed just as she walked through the door, and something about the way she moved made me look up from the espresso machine. She wore a charcoal gray coat that seemed too heavy for the mild autumn weather, and her auburn hair fell in waves that caught the afternoon light streaming through my shop's front windows. "Just black coffee, please," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter something fragile in the air between us. I've owned the Velvet Bean for 7 years now, and you learn to read people when you serve them coffee every day. The stressed executives who bark their orders while scrolling through emails. The students who camp out for hours nursing a single latte. The elderly couples who share a slice of cake and decades of memories. But her? She was different. She carried herself like someone bearing an invisible weight, and her green eyes held a sadness that made my chest tighten. "Coming right up," I said, trying to sound casual even though my hands trembled slightly as I poured. "Haven't seen you around here before." She offered a small smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I just moved to the neighborhood." That was all she said. She paid in cash, exact change, and chose the corner table by the window, the one most people avoided because the afternoon sun hit it directly. But she sat there anyway, cradling her coffee cup like it was the only warm thing in her world, staring out at the street as if waiting for someone who would never come. I tried not to watch her, but running a coffee shop gives you plenty of excuses to glance around your domain. She stayed for exactly 1 hour, then left without a word, leaving behind only the faint scent of jasmine and rain. The next day, she returned at 3:47 p.m., and the next, and the next. Always the same order. Always the same table. Always that same haunted expression that made me want to ask if she was okay, even though I knew it wasn't my place. By the end of the second week, I had her coffee ready before she even reached the counter. "Your usual?" I'd ask, and she'd nod with that ghost of a smile. Sometimes our fingers would brush when I handed her the cup, and I'd feel a jolt of electricity that left me breathless. "My name is Marcus. By the way, 32 years old, divorced, no kids, just me and this coffee shop that had become my whole world after Elena left." I'd poured everything into the Velvet Bean after my marriage fell apart, working 16-hour days until the smell of coffee beans had seeped into my skin and the rhythm of the espresso machine had become my heartbeat. I thought I was content with my simple life. Wake up at 5 a.m., open the shop at 6, serve coffee to the neighborhood regulars, close at 8 p.m., go home to my empty apartment, repeat. It wasn't exciting, but it was safe. Predictable until her. 3 weeks into her daily visits, I finally worked up the courage to introduce myself properly. It was a Thursday, and the shop was quieter than usual. She was at her table, coffee cup half empty, lost in whatever world existed beyond that window. "I'm Marcus," I said, approaching with a fresh pot. "I own this place." She looked up, startled, as if she'd forgotten other people existed. "Oh, I'm Sophia." The pause before her name made me wonder if it was real, but I didn't push. "Can I top you off?" I gestured to her cup. "That's kind," she said, "but I should probably stop at 1 cup. I haven't been sleeping well." It was the most she'd ever shared about herself, and I found myself sitting down across from her before I could think better of it. Insomnia's rough. I went through a period of it myself a couple of years ago. "Huh? What helped?" she asked, and there was something desperate in her voice, like she was drowning and I'd just thrown her a rope. Honestly, exhaustion? I worked myself so hard during the day that my body had no choice but to shut down at night. I laughed, but it sounded hollow. Not the healthiest coping mechanism. "Sometimes unhealthy is all we have," she said quietly. We sat in silence for a moment, and I became acutely aware of the late afternoon sun painting golden stripes across her face. She was beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with conventional prettiness. It was in the way she held herself, fragile yet unbreakable, like a bird with clipped wings who still remembered how to fly. "Sophia," I said, testing the name. "Can I ask you something?" She tensed. "Depends on the question." "Why 3:47? Her cup rattled against the saucer as she set it down. "What? You come in at exactly 3:47 every day? Not 3:45, not 3:50, always 3:47. For a moment, I thought she might get up and leave, maybe never come back. But then something in her expression shifted, like a door opening just a crack. "It's when he died," she whispered. The words hung between us, heavy and unexpected. I didn't know who he was, didn't know if I should ask. But she continued before I could decide. "My husband, car accident, 1 year, 2 months, and 5 days ago. The hospital called at 3:47 p.m. to tell me he was gone. Sophia, I'm so sorry. Don't." She held up a hand. "Please, I don't need sympathy. I come here because I can't be home at that time. Can't be anywhere that reminds me of him. This place is neutral, safe." I understood that need for a safe space better than she knew. After Elena left, I'd haunted places she'd never been, trying to build new memories that weren't tainted by her absence. "Well," I said carefully, "you're always welcome here. 3:47 or any other time." She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years. "Thank you, Marcus." After that day, something shifted between us. She still came at 3:47, still ordered black coffee, still sat at the same table. But now she'd look up when I approached, sometimes even smile genuinely. We'd exchange a few words about the weather, about the jazz music I played in the afternoons, about the new pastries I was trying out from a local bakery. "You should eat something," I told her one day, setting a blueberry scone beside her coffee. "On the house." "I couldn't. Please. You're wasting away, and it's bad for business. People will think my coffee shop is depressing." That earned me a small laugh, the first I'd heard from her. It was like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. She took a tiny bite of the scone. "It's good. Marie's Bakery, 2 blocks over. She's a wizard with pastries. Unlike you," she teased, and my heart skipped at this glimpse of who she might have been before grief rewrote her story. "I make excellent coffee. Baking is a different kind of magic." She ate half the scone that day. The next day, when I brought her a chocolate croissant, she ate the whole thing. Progress. October faded into November, and the city dressed itself in gold and crimson. The velvet bean grew busier as the weather cooled. People seeking warmth and comfort in my worn leather chairs and carefully curated playlist. But even in the busiest rush, I always kept one eye on the door at 3:47, one particularly gray Tuesday. She didn't come. 3:47 came and went, then 4:30. By 5, I was genuinely worried. It was stupid. She didn't owe me anything. Certainly not an explanation for breaking a routine I'd simply observed. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She didn't come Wednesday either, or Thursday. By Friday, I was a mess. I'd snapped at Tom, my part-time barista, twice over minor things. I'd made 3 drinks wrong, something that never happened. And I'd checked the door so many times that regular customers were starting to notice. "Waiting for someone?" asked Mrs. Chen, one of my morning regulars. "No," I lied. "Just watching the weather." She gave me a knowing look but didn't push. At 3:30, I made a decision. I wrote a note. "Back in 30 minutes." Taped it to the door, and left my own shop for the first time during business hours since I'd opened. I didn't even know where she lived. But I knew she'd said she moved to the neighborhood, and there were only so many apartment buildings within walking distance. It was a long shot, but I had to try. I was about to give up when I saw her. She was sitting on the steps of a brownstone 3 blocks away, head in her hands, shoulders shaking, even from across the street. I could tell she was crying. I hesitated. This was crossing a line. She came to my coffee shop for refuge, not for me to intrude on her private moments. But then she looked up, saw me, and the raw pain in her eyes made my decision for me. "Sophia." "Marcus?" She wiped at her face hastily. "What are you doing here?" "You didn't come for coffee. I was worried. You left your shop to check on me?" I shrugged, suddenly feeling foolish. Tom can handle things for a bit. She stared at me for a long moment, then patted the step beside her. I sat, maintaining a careful distance between us. "Today's his birthday," she said without preamble. "Would have been. He would have been 35. "Tell me about him," I said. Surprising myself, she looked startled. "Most people don't want to hear about dead husbands." "I'm not most people." So she told me. His name was Daniel. They'd met in college, married young, despite everyone saying they should wait. He was a teacher, high school history, and he had a laugh that could fill a room. He made the best pancakes she'd ever tasted and couldn't carry a tune to save his life, but sang in the shower anyway. They'd been trying for a baby when the accident happened. "A drunk driver," she said, voice flat. Broad daylight, suburban street, and a drunk driver ran a red light. Daniel was coming home early to surprise me. He'd gotten the job, department head at a private school. His dream job. He never even made it home to tell me. I wanted to take her hand, but didn't. "I'm so sorry, Sophia." "You know what the worst part is?" She laughed bitterly. "I'm starting to forget things. Little things. The exact shade of his eyes. The way he smelled. Sometimes I wake up and for just a second, I don't remember he's gone. Then it hits me all over again. That's not forgetting, I said softly. That's surviving. She turned to look at me fully. You sound like you know. Different kind of loss, I admitted. My ex-wife didn't die. She just left. Found someone who could give her the things I couldn't. Kids, mainly. Turns out I'm sterile. The words came easier than I expected. Not the same as what you're going through, but I know something about waking up and reaching for someone who isn't there. How long? 2 years. It gets easier. Not better, necessarily, but easier. We sat in silence as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of rose and violet. Finally, she shivered. You should get back to your shop, she said. Come with me. I'll make you the best coffee you've ever had. Bold claim, considering I've been drinking your coffee for over a month. That's just my regular coffee. I haven't broken out the good stuff yet. She smiled, a real smile that transformed her face. Okay. We walked back together, and I made her a cortado with beans I'd been saving for a special occasion. She sat at her usual table, but this time, I sat across from her when the evening rush died down. Thank you, she said. For coming to find me, for listening, for not trying to fix me. You don't need fixing, I said, meaning it. You're not broken. Sophia, you're grieving. There's a difference. She reached across the table and touched my hand briefly. I should go. It's getting late. Same time tomorrow? Wouldn't miss it. But the next day, Saturday. She came at noon. Breaking pattern? I asked, trying to hide my delight. Thought I'd try something different. Besides, you said something about good coffee? I made her a pour-over this time, using an Ethiopian single origin that tasted like blueberries and chocolate. We talked between customers, about coffee, about books, about anything except dead husbands and ex-wives. She stayed until closing, helping me wipe down tables even when I protested. I used to work in a cafe in college, she said. I miss the rhythm of it. You any good with an espresso machine? Terrible. But I made excellent sandwiches. I've been thinking about adding a lunch menu, I said. The idea forming even as I spoke. Just simple things. Sandwiches, soups. Be careful, she warned. I might take you up on that. That night, I went home and couldn't stop thinking about her. Not in the way I'd thought about Elena in the beginning, that had been all fire and urgency. This was different, quieter, like a seed planted deep, growing roots before anyone could see it on the surface. Sunday, she came at opening time. I couldn't sleep, she explained, dark circles under her eyes confirming it. Thought I might as well be useful. I handed her an apron. You know this is probably a labor violation. I won't tell if you won't. She was terrible with the espresso machine, as promised. But she charmed customers with her quiet grace, and her sandwich combinations were inspired. By noon, we'd sold out of everything she'd made. "You should do this for real," I said. "Do what?" "Work here. With me. I could use the help, and you clearly have a gift." She froze, and I immediately regretted the suggestion. Too much. Too fast. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," she said carefully. "I haven't worked since Daniel. No pressure. The offer stands whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready." She nodded, but I could see her retreating behind her walls again. When she left that afternoon, I wondered if I'd pushed too hard. Monday. She didn't come at all. Tuesday, 3:47 came and went without her. By Wednesday, I was kicking myself. I'd ruined it. Taken something fragile and beautiful and crushed it with my clumsy hands. Then Thursday. At exactly 3:47, she walked through the door wearing an apron from Marie's bakery. "I got a job," she announced, approaching the counter with something like pride in her eyes. "Part-time. Just mornings. Making sandwiches and salads." "That's wonderful," I said, meaning it even as my heart sank a little. "Marie's lucky to have you." I wanted to try," she said, "to see if I could do it. Be a person in the world again. And it's hard, but good hard, if that makes sense." Perfect sense. She ordered her usual coffee but didn't go to her table. Instead, she perched on one of the stools at the counter, watching me work. "I've been thinking about your offer," she said. "Oh? Maybe we could start small. I could help out on weekends. See how it goes." "Are you sure?" She nodded. Daniel would hate that I've spent over a year sitting still. He was always moving, always doing. He'd want me to try. "Okay," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This Saturday?" "It's a date," she flushed immediately. "I mean, not a date. A work arrangement. A business thing." "Sophia," I said gently. "Breathe." She laughed shakily. "Sorry, Wemty. I'm out of practice with everything." "No apologies necessary. Saturday morning, 6 a.m. sharp. I'll teach you the secret to perfect foam." Zugaitha, that Saturday was a disaster and a delight in equal measure. She broke 2 mugs, steamed milk until it screamed, and confused at least 3 orders. But she also made a sandwich combination that had customers lining up, and her smile, getting broader and more frequent as the day went on, was worth any amount of broken crockery. "I'm terrible at this," she said during a brief lull. "You're learning. Everyone's terrible at first." "Were you?" "Horrible. My first day. I served salt instead of sugar to 5 customers before anyone told me." "You did not." "Ask Mrs. Chen sometime. She still mentions it." We fell into a routine. She worked at Marie's weekday mornings, helped me on weekends, and still came for her 3:47 coffee during the week. But now she'd stay later, help with the evening rush, experiment with new sandwich combinations after closing. One night in early December, we were trying out recipes for a winter menu. Snow was falling outside. dusting the city in white, and I'd turned the music low. She was laughing at my attempt to julienne vegetables. "You're massacring that poor carrot. Marcus!" When suddenly she went quiet. "What is it?" I asked. "This song," she whispered. I listened. It was a jazz standard. Something about the nearness of you. "I can change it." "No." She grabbed my wrist. "It's our song. Was. Daniel and I danced to this at our wedding. Her eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. I haven't heard it since he died. I've avoided it. But it's nice hearing it here with you." Something shifted in that moment. The air between us grew thick with possibility and guilt and longing. I knew I should step back, say something to break the tension, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but stare at her face in the warm light of my coffee shop. "Marcus," she whispered. "I know," I said. "I know." She released my wrist, stepped back. "I should go. Sophia, I'll see you tomorrow." She left, and I stood there holding a mangled carrot, wondering if I'd just lost her for good. But she came back the next day at 3:47, same as always. We didn't talk about the moment, the almost something that had passed between us. We worked side by side, careful not to touch, careful not to look too long, careful, careful, careful. Christmas approached, and the Velvet Bean grew busy with holiday shoppers seeking refuge. Sophia threw herself into creating seasonal specials, a cranberry turkey sandwich that became my bestseller, a butternut squash soup that had people calling to reserve portions. "You're a genius," I told her one afternoon, watching her serve a line of customers with growing confidence. "I'm a sandwich maker," she corrected. "You're an artist." She rolled her eyes, but I caught her smile. On December 23rd, she worked the whole day with me. The shop was packed, carols playing, customers full of holiday cheer. We moved around each other like dancers, no longer needing words to communicate. She'd hold out a hand, and I'd pass her exactly what she needed. I'd start to ask a question, and she'd already know the answer. "Good team," Tom commented during his shift. "You two work like you've been doing this for years." Sophia and I carefully didn't look at each other. That night, after we'd closed and cleaned and counted the till, she handed me a small wrapped box. "Christmas present," she said shyly. "It's not much. Sophia, you didn't have to. Open it." Inside was a coffee mug, hand-painted with delicate vines and flowers. On the bottom, in tiny script, "For Marcus, who makes the good stuff. Such a local artist makes them," she explained. I thought, "You've given me so much. A job, a purpose, a place to belong. I wanted to give you something back." "It's perfect," I said, throat tight. "I have something for you too." I retrieved the envelope from behind the counter, suddenly nervous. "It's not wrapped." She opened it, pulled out the single key inside. "Marcus?" "It's to the shop," I explained. "So you can come and go as you please. Make your sandwiches whenever inspiration strikes. You basically run half this place anyway. I can't accept this. Please. It would make me happy to know you felt at home here. She clutched the key, eyes shining. Daniel would have liked you, she said suddenly. He would have loved this place. Would have loved that you gave me a key to your kingdom based on my sandwich-making abilities. I'd have liked to meet him, I said honestly. You'd have been friends, she agreed. Then, so quietly, I almost missed it. He'd want me to be happy. Before I could respond, she stood on her tiptoes and kissed my cheek. Merry Christmas, Marcus. Then she was gone, leaving me standing in my coffee shop with her warmth still on my skin and her mug in my hands. I didn't see her on Christmas Eve. The shop was closed, and I spent the day at my sister's house in Jersey, playing uncle to her 3 kids and dodging questions about when I'd start dating again. There's this teacher at Lucy's school, my sister Sarah said. Not for the first time. Recently divorced. Very pretty. Sarah. What? It's been 2 years. Elena's moved on. You should too. I thought about Sophia, about the key in her pocket, and the moment we'd almost kissed. It's complicated. It always is. That's what makes it interesting. Christmas Day. I woke to a text from an unknown number. Thank you for the key, and for everything else. Sue, I smiled, saved her number, texted back. Merry Christmas, Sophia. The day after Christmas. I opened the shop to find she'd already been there. Fresh sandwiches were wrapped and labeled in the display case. Soup was simmering on the hot plate, and a note was propped against the register. Couldn't sleep. Hope these help with the post-holiday rush. So, she came in at her usual time, ordered her usual coffee, but this time she stayed behind the counter with me. The key works, she said unnecessarily. I see that. These sandwiches are incredible. I might have gone a little overboard. I was here at 4 a.m. Sophia, I know. But it felt good, being useful, creating things. I haven't felt like this since. She trailed off. But we both knew, since Daniel, the week between Christmas and New Year's was quiet. Most people traveling or recovering from holiday excess. Sophia and I fell into an even easier rhythm. Often working in comfortable silence, broken only by the hiss of the espresso machine and the jazz standards I knew she'd grown to love. On New Year's Eve, I expected her to have plans, but she showed up at 3:47 as usual. No party? I asked. Not really a party person these days. You? My wild plan involves inventory and deep cleaning the freezer. Sounds thrilling. Need help? We worked until nearly midnight, the shop sparkling clean and organized. As the clock approached 12, I opened a bottle of champagne I'd been saving. To new beginnings, I said, raising my glass. To letting go, she countered. We drank, and when midnight struck, we were standing closer than we should have been. The air between us electric with possibility. Marcus, she whispered. I think I'm falling for you. My heart stopped. Sophia, I know it's too soon. I know I'm probably not ready, but I can't pretend anymore. You've brought me back to life. You brought yourself back, I corrected. I just made coffee, she laughed, a watery sound. Really good coffee. I set down my glass, took hers, placed them both on the counter. Then I cupped her face in my hands, thumbs brushing away the tears that had started to fall. I'm falling for you too, I admitted. Have been since that first day. But Sophia, I don't want to be a replacement. I don't want to be the guy who helped you forget. If we do this, I need to know it's real. It's the realest thing I've felt in over a year, she said. You're not a replacement. Marcus, you're something entirely new. Something I didn't know I could feel again. I kissed her then, soft and careful, tasting champagne and possibility. She kissed me back, and for a moment, the ghost of Daniel Miller didn't stand between us. But ghosts have a way of returning. January came in cold and bright. Sophia and I navigated our new relationship with the same care we'd used in our friendship. Small touches, her hand on my arm, my fingers in her hair, quiet moments stolen between customers, dinners after closing where we'd talk about everything and nothing. She still came at 3:47 most days, but now it felt less like a memorial and more like a choice, our time. I'm thinking of selling the house, she told me one evening in late January. We were trying out a new soup recipe, snow falling steadily outside. The one you shared with Daniel? She nodded. It's too big, too full of memories. I rattle around in there like a ghost myself. Where would you go? I don't know. Somewhere smaller. Somewhere that could be just mine. She paused. Maybe somewhere closer to here. My heart leapt, but I kept my voice steady. That would be nice. Save you the commute. She smiled at my careful tone. You're allowed to be happy about it. You know, it doesn't diminish what I had with him. I know. I want to be respectful. You are. God. Marcus, you're the most respectful person I've ever met. Sometimes I wish you'd be a little less respectful. What do you mean? She put down her spoon, turned to face me fully. I mean that we've been together for a month and you've barely kissed me. You treat me like I'm made of glass, aren't you? No, she said firmly. I'm made of flesh and blood and a heart that's learning to beat again. I won't break if you touch me. To prove her point, she kissed me, deep and hungry. Nothing like the careful pecks we'd shared before. I responded instinctively, pulling her closer, letting myself feel the full force of what was building between us. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, she smiled. See? Still in one piece. Sophia, I said, voice rough. Are you sure? I'm sure that I want you. I'm sure that Daniel would want me to live. Not just exist. I'm sure that you make me happy in a way I thought I'd never feel again. She paused. What I'm not sure about is why there's smoke coming from the stove. The soup! I lunged for the pot, which had indeed started to burn. We salvaged what we could, laughing at the absurdity of it all. Maybe we should focus on sandwiches, she suggested. Maybe we should focus on other things entirely, I countered, and her eyes darkened in a way that made my pulse race. That night, she stayed over for the first time, in the morning, making coffee in my tiny apartment kitchen while she wore my shirt and nothing else. I felt a contentment I'd thought was lost to me forever. I love you, I said without thinking, then froze. Too soon, too much. But she just smiled, wrapped her arms around me from behind. I love you too. It's different from how I love Daniel, but it's not less, just different. Is that okay? It's perfect, I said, and meant it. February brought Valentine's Day, which I'd been dreading. How do you celebrate romantic love with someone who's grieving their soulmate? But Sophia surprised me, showing up that morning with handmade cards for all our regular customers. You did this? I asked, watching Mrs. Chen tear up over her personalized message. I wanted to spread some love, she said simply. The world needs more of it. That night, she cooked dinner in my apartment. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad and good wine. We ate by candlelight, jazz playing softly, snow falling outside. This is nice, she said. Just nice? Perfect, she amended. Though I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. What do you mean? She sighed. I'm happy, Marcus. Happier than I thought I could be. And it terrifies me. What if I lose you too? I took her hand. You can't live in fear of loss, Sophia. Trust me, I know. After Elena left, I shut down, convinced myself I was better off alone. But that's not living. How do you do it? Risk caring again? Because the alternative is worse. Because loving you, even with all the uncertainty, is better than the safe emptiness I had before. She squeezed my hand. When did you get so wise? Must be all the coffee fumes. But the next day, the other shoe did drop. I was alone in the shop, Sophia having taken a rare day off to handle some house paperwork, when a man walked in, tall, athletic build, sandy hair going silver at the temples. He looked around with interest before approaching the counter. What can I get you? I asked. Coffee, black, and information, if you've got it. Something in his tone put me on edge. What kind of information? I'm looking for someone. Sophia Miller. I heard she spends time here. My protective instincts flared. Who's asking? He extended a hand. James Watson. I was Daniel's best friend, his business partner, actually. We ran a tutoring company together. I shook his hand warily. Marcus, I own this place. Nice to meet you. So, does Sophia come here? Her neighbor mentioned she's here a lot. She's a customer, I said carefully. Why are you looking for her? James sighed. It's complicated. We had a falling out after Daniel died. Said some things we shouldn't have. I've been trying to apologize, make things right, but she won't return my calls. Maybe she needs space. It's been over a year, he said, frustration creeping into his voice. Look, I know I screwed up, but Daniel would hate that we're not talking. We were all so close. Before I could respond, the door chimed. Sophia walked in, laughing at something on her phone, looking lighter than I'd ever seen her. Then she saw James, and all the color drained from her face. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. "Sophia." James stepped toward her, but she backed away. "Please, just hear me out. I said everything I needed to say at the funeral." "You said I killed him!" James exploded. "You blamed me for something that wasn't my fault." The shop went silent. My few customers stared. Sophia was shaking. "You knew he was coming to see you," she said, voice deadly quiet. "You called him, told him to come to the office early." "If you hadn't, he was coming to see you," James interrupted. "He left the office to surprise you. How is that my fault?" "Get out," I said, moving from behind the counter. "You need to leave." James looked between us, understanding dawning. "You're together, of course. Daniel's barely cold, and you're already—" I had him by the shirt before I realized I'd moved. Don't you dare finish that sentence. Marcus, stop." Sophia's voice cut through my anger. "Let him go." I released James, who straightened his shirt with shaking hands. "I see she's got you fooled too. Did she tell you the whole story? Did she mention the fight they had that morning? The ultimatum she gave him?" "James, please," Sophia begged. "Not here." "Why not? You've clearly moved on. Found yourself a nice rebound with a coffee shop. Daniel would be so proud." "That's enough," I said. "Get out before I call the police." James laughed bitterly. "You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into, buddy. She destroys everything she touches. Just ask Daniel." "Oh, wait. You can't." He stormed out, leaving devastation in his wake. Sophia stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. My customers had fled, leaving us alone. "Sophia," I started. "I need to go," she said. "Wait. Let's talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about. He's right. It's my fault Daniel's dead." "That's not true." "You don't know," she screamed. "You don't know what happened that morning, what I said, what I did." "So tell me." She laughed hysterically. "Tell you, so you can look at me the way James does, so you can realize what kind of person you've fallen for." "Sophia, please." "We were trying for a baby," she said, the words pouring out like poison. 2 years. Nothing. I wanted to do IVF. Daniel wanted to wait. Said we had time. That morning. I told him I was done waiting. Said maybe I should find someone who actually wanted a family with me. My heart broke for her. Sophia. Those were the last words I said to him. Marcus. I threatened to leave him, and he died trying to come home early to make things right. He got that job, the one he'd wanted forever. And instead of celebrating, he was racing home to stop me from leaving. The accident wasn't your fault, wasn't it? If I hadn't pushed, If I hadn't given him that ultimatum, he'd have been at work, safe, alive. You can't know that. Can't I? She was backing toward the door. James was right. I destroy things. I destroyed my marriage. I destroyed Daniel. And if I stay, I'll destroy you too. Sophia, don't do this. I'm sorry. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I thought I could do this. Be happy again. But I can't. I don't deserve it. She fled before I could stop her. I stood in my empty shop, surrounded by the wreckage of what had been the best thing in my life, and wondered how everything had fallen apart so fast. She didn't come back the next day, or the next. I tried calling, but she didn't answer. I went to her house, but she didn't come to the door. Even Marie at the bakery hadn't seen her. A week passed, then 2. The shop felt empty without her. Even when it was full, I'd catch myself making her coffee at 3:47, only to pour it down the drain when she didn't show. Tom tried to help, picking up extra shifts, attempting to recreate Sophia's sandwich recipes. But it wasn't the same. Nothing was the same. She'll come back, he said one afternoon. She just needs time. What if she doesn't? Then you'll survive. You did it before. But I didn't want to just survive anymore. Sophia had shown me there was more to life than existing. I wanted to live, to love, to risk my heart even knowing it could shatter. 3 weeks after she left, I made a decision. If she wouldn't come to me, I'd go to her, and this time, I wouldn't leave without a fight. I closed the shop early on a Tuesday, ignoring Tom's surprised look. Sophia's house was a small Victorian in a quiet neighborhood, perfectly maintained, but somehow lifeless. The for sale sign in the yard made my chest tight. I rang the doorbell. No answer. Rang again. Nothing. I know you're in there. I called. Your car's in the driveway. Silence. I'm not leaving. Sophia, I'll stand here all night if I have to. Your neighbors are already staring. That was true. Mrs. Patterson from next door was pretending to water her plants while obviously eavesdropping. Finally, I heard footsteps. The door opened a crack, revealing Sophia in sweats and one of Daniel's old t-shirts, looking like she hadn't slept in days. What do you want, Marcus? To talk. Can I come in? That's not a good idea. Please. She sighed but opened the door wider. I followed her into a living room that was clearly mid-packing. Boxes everywhere. Photos taken down from walls. A life being systematically erased. Going somewhere? I asked. My sister's in Portland. She said I could stay with her while I figure things out. Running away. Starting over, she corrected. Same thing. She whirled on me. What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I am. That I miss you? I do. But that doesn't change anything. It changes everything, I said. Sophia, what happened to Daniel was a tragedy. A horrible, random accident that had nothing to do with your fight. You don't understand. I understand that you're punishing yourself for being human, for having a normal argument with your husband. Couples fight. They say things they don't mean. That's life. And sometimes life ends in the middle of those fights, she said bitterly. Yes, sometimes it does. But that's not your fault. The drunk driver killed Daniel, not you. If I hadn't, if, I interrupted. If Daniel had left 5 minutes later, if he'd taken a different route, if the drunk had passed out before getting in his car, you can't live in the ifs. Sophia. They'll eat you alive. She sank onto the couch, looking small and lost. James was right, though. I am destroying you, dragging you into my mess. I sat beside her, careful not to touch. You're not destroying me. You're saving me. Marcus, no. Listen. Before you, I was just going through the motions. Wake up, make coffee, go home, repeat. I'd convinced myself that was enough. But then you walked in with all your pain and beauty and terrible sandwich ordering skills, and suddenly I was alive again. She almost smiled. My sandwich ordering skills are not terrible. Black coffee every day for a month. No food. It was tragic. You fixed that. We fixed each other, I said. That's what people do. They find each other in the broken places and build something new. What if I'm too broken? Then we'll be broken together. I'm pretty cracked myself. Remember? She looked at me then. Really looked at me. You came all this way to tell me that? I came all this way to tell you that I love you. Not in spite of your past, but because of it. Because you loved someone so deeply that losing him nearly killed you. But you still found the courage to try again. Because you make terrible coffee but amazing sandwiches. Because you sit in sunlight even when it hurts, and you gave handmade valentines to strangers, and you dance to jazz standards when you think no one's watching. You saw that? I see everything about you. Sophia Miller. The good, the bad, the guilty, the grieving. And I love all of it. She was crying now. Silent tears that broke my heart. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I, but we can figure it out together. What about James? What he said? James is a man in pain who wanted someone to blame. But his opinion doesn't matter. Mine does. Yours does. And I think, I hope, Daniel's would. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, he would have liked you. I meant that. Tell me about him. Really tell me. Not just the good parts. So she did. For hours, we sat in that half-packed living room as she told me about Daniel Miller. The good, his kindness, his humor, his passion for teaching. The bad, his stubbornness, his tendency to avoid conflict, his inability to fold fitted sheets. The real, the man who was neither saint nor sinner, just human. He wasn't perfect, she said finally. We weren't perfect, but we were real. That's all anyone can be, I said. Real. I don't want to forget him, she whispered. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to remember him while still living your life. He's part of your story, Sophia. But he's not the ending. She leaned into me then, and I wrapped my arms around her. We stayed like that as the sun set, as shadows grew long, as the world outside continued spinning. I can't go to Portland, she said eventually. No. My life is here, my job, the shop. She paused. You, so stay. It won't be easy. I have bad days. Guilt spirals. 347 is always going to be hard. I know. And James will have to deal with his grief his own way. That's not your responsibility. She pulled back to look at me. You really want to take this on? All this baggage? I have my own matching set, I reminded her. Besides, you know what goes great with baggage? What? Coffee. Really good coffee. She laughed, a real laugh that filled the room with light. Your coffee puns are terrible, but my coffee is excellent. The best, she agreed. Then, softer, I love you. Marcus, it scares me how much. Good scared or bad scared? Both, but mostly good. I kissed her then, in that room full of boxes and ghosts and possibility. When we broke apart, she was smiling. Unpack with me? She asked. So we did. Box by box, memory by memory. We unpacked her life. Some things went back on shelves. Others went into boxes marked for donation. And slowly, the house began to look like a home again. I still want to sell, she said as we hung a photo of her and Daniel on vacation, both sun-kissed and laughing. Too many memories. But maybe I'll look for something in your neighborhood. Convenient for the commute. Very. Though I'll need my own key back. Can't have the boss thinking I'm getting special treatment. Too late. Everyone already knows I'm desperately in love with you. Poor professional boundaries. Mr. Owner. The worst. I agreed cheerfully. We ordered Chinese food and ate straight from the containers, planning menus for the shop, discussing her ideas for expanding our lunch offerings. It felt normal, domestic, right. I should warn you, she said, stealing a dumpling from my container. Daniel's parents want to meet you. I nearly choked on my lo mein. What? I called them yesterday, told them about us. They want to have dinner. And they're okay with this? His mom cried. But good tears, I think. She said Daniel would want me to be happy. She paused. They're good people. They've been worried about me. Should I be nervous? Terrified, she said cheerfully. But they'll love you. How could they not? 2 weeks later, I found myself sitting at dinner with Robert and Patricia Miller, trying not to fidget as they studied me across the table. Sophia squeezed my hand under the table. So, Robert said, you own a coffee shop? Yes, sir. 7 years now. Sophia says you make the best coffee in the city. She's biased, I said. But I do my best. Patricia leaned forward. She seems happy, happier than we've seen her since. She trailed off, but we all knew. She makes me happy too, I said honestly. Your son was a lucky man to have her love. I hope to be worthy of it too. Robert's eyes misted. Daniel would appreciate that. He'd want her taken care of. With respect, Sir, Sophia doesn't need taking care of. She's the strongest person I know, but I'd like to stand beside her, if she'll let me." Patricia reached across the table and patted my hand. "Good answer." The rest of dinner was easier. They told stories about Daniel as a child, showed me pictures, included me in their memories instead of guarding them jealously. By dessert, Patricia was insisting I call her Pat, and Robert was inviting me to golf. "I don't golf," I admitted. "Neither did Daniel," Robert said. "I kept hoping." As we left, Patricia hugged Sophia tightly. "He's good for you," I heard her whisper. "Don't let guilt rob you of this chance." "I won't," Sophia promised. In the car, she was quiet. "You okay?" I asked. They've never been that warm with anyone I've dated, not even Daniel at first. Maybe they see what I see, a future. "Yeah?" She looked at me hopefully. "You see a future with me?" "I see everything with you," I said simply. March melted into April, and life found its rhythm. Sophia sold her house, bought a small condo 6 blocks from the shop. We painted it together on weekends, turning blank walls into warm spaces filled with light. She kept some of Daniel's things, his favorite books, a watch his father had given him, their wedding album. They sat naturally among her new life, integrated rather than enshrined. At the shop, we became a true team. She handled the lunch menu while I focused on coffee. Tom joked that we finished each other's sentences, moved in synchronized patterns, had entire conversations without words. "It's actually a little creepy," he said one day, but in a sweet way. Business boomed. Word spread about Sophia's sandwiches, my coffee, the warm atmosphere we'd created together. We hired 2 more part-time workers, extended our hours, even started catering small events. "We need to celebrate," I announced one evening after tallying our best month ever. "What did you have in mind?" "Dinner. Somewhere fancy. Maybe that new place on 5th? She wrinkled her nose. "Or we could get pizza and eat it on the roof of my building. Watch the sunset." "Have I told you lately that you're perfect?" "Not since this morning." So we got pizza and cheap wine and climbed to her building's roof. The city spread before us, painted gold by the setting sun. "I have something to tell you," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. My heart clenched. "Okay." "I went to the cemetery today to see Daniel." "Oh." "I told him about you, about us. I know that's weird." "It's not weird," I interrupted. "What did you tell him?" "That I loved him, that I always will, but that I've found room in my heart for another love. Different but equal. That you make me laugh and challenge me and see me for who I am now, not who I was." She paused. I told him I was choosing to live. "And how did that feel?" "Like goodbye," she said softly. "Not to his memory, but to the guilt. Like I was finally letting both of us rest." I pulled her close, kissed the top of her head. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me too," she said, and I could hear the wonder in her voice. May brought the 1-year anniversary of when she'd first walked into my shop. I wanted to do something special but wasn't sure what. How do you celebrate the day grief walked through your door and slowly transformed into love? I settled on simplicity. At 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, I had her usual coffee ready. But beside it sat a small potted plant. A coffee plant, actually, that I'd been nurturing for months. "What's this?" she asked. "Happy anniversary," I said. "1 year since you ordered your first terrible black coffee." "My coffee wasn't terrible. Your customer service was questionable." I was mesmerized by the beautiful, sad woman in the corner. I defended. "Can you blame me?" She studied the plant. "Is this what I think it is? Coffee plant. It'll take years to produce beans. And even then, probably not enough for a single cup." But I thought, something about patience and growth and good things taking time. "Marcus Chen, are you getting metaphorical on me?" "Maybe a little." She kissed me over the counter, not caring that the shop was full of customers. "I love it. And you. Even if your metaphors need work. I'll practice." That night, she stayed late to help close. As I was counting the till, she said, "I have an anniversary present for you, too." "Oh?" She handed me an envelope. Inside was a business license application. The name line read, "The Velvet Bean & Co." "What's this?" "A partnership proposal," she said. "You and me, official business partners. I've saved enough to buy in properly, and I have ideas about expanding. Maybe a second location eventually. Catering services, who knows? Sophia." "Unless you don't want." I silenced her with a kiss. "Yes. Of course, yes. Partners. In business? In everything," I confirmed. We filed the paperwork the next week. The Velvet Bean & Co. was born, a joint venture built on coffee and sandwiches and second chances. James came back once more, on a quiet Thursday afternoon. Sophia was in the back, experimenting with a new soup recipe. I saw him through the window and met him at the door. "She's not here," I lied. "I know she is. Her car's outside." He looked tired, older. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I need to apologize." "She doesn't owe you forgiveness." "I know, but I owe her an apology." I studied him for a long moment, then stepped aside. 5 minutes. He entered, and I called for Sophia. She emerged from the kitchen, flour in her hair, and froze when she saw him. "Hello, Soph," James said quietly. "James. I'm sorry," he said without preamble. "For what I said before, for blaming you, for being cruel when you were already suffering. Daniel would be ashamed of me." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "James." "I was angry," he continued. "At the driver, at God, at myself for asking him to come early that day, but mostly at the fact that he was gone and I couldn't fix it. I'm a fixer. You know that. And I couldn't fix this." "Neither could I," she whispered. "I know." I'm sorry it took me so long to see that. You loved him. He loved you. What happened was just horrible chance. Not your fault. Not mine. Just horrible. They stared at each other across years of friendship and months of pain. Then Sophia stepped forward and hugged him. He broke down, sobbing into her shoulder while she held him up. I miss him so much. James choked out. Me too, she said. Every day. They cried together while I stood guard, making sure no customers interrupted this moment of catharsis. When they finally separated, both were lighter somehow. I'm glad you're happy, James said, glancing at me. He would want that for you. Are you? She asked. Happy. Getting there. Therapy helps. And I met someone. A teacher. Actually. At Daniel's old school. We talk about him sometimes. That's good. James. Really good. He squeezed her hands. Be well, Sophia, both of you. After he left, she collapsed against me. That was intense? Necessary, she corrected. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear him say that. Are you okay? Yeah. I think I finally am. Summer arrived in a burst of heat and possibility. The shop thrived, expanding into the space next door when the vintage clothing store moved out. We knocked down walls, added more seating, created a small area for live music on weekends. We're becoming a real place. Sophia marveled on opening night of our expansion. We always were real. You know what I mean. A destination, part of the neighborhood's fabric. She was right. The Velvet Bean & Co. had become more than just a coffee shop. It was where teenagers came to study, where writers found inspiration, where first dates unfolded nervously, where breakups happened quietly in corners. We'd created a space for life to happen. Dance with me, I said impulsively as the jazz trio we'd hired played a slow song. Here, now we're working. We're always working. Dance with me. So we danced between the tables while our customers smiled and Tom rolled his eyes good-naturedly. Her head on my shoulder, my arms around her waist, the world shrinking to just us. I love you, she murmured. I love you too. No, I mean, I really love you. Present tense, active verb, not past pain or future possibility. Right now, in this moment. I love you completely. I understood what she was saying. For so long, she'd loved me through the lens of loss, as if Daniel's death was a filter she couldn't remove. But somewhere along the way, that had changed. She loved me for me, not as a remedy for grief. Marry me, I said without thinking. She pulled back, eyes wide. What? Marry me. Not now. Not tomorrow. But someday, when you're ready, if you're ever ready. I just want you to know that's where I see this going. Marcus Chen. That is the worst proposal in the history of proposals. I know. I'm sorry. I should have planned. Yes. What? Yes, someday. When I'm ready, when we're ready, yes. We kissed in the middle of our coffee shop, surrounded by customers and music and the life we'd built together. When we broke apart, everyone was applauding. So much for professional boundaries, Tom called out. That night, we sat on her roof again, planning a future that once seemed impossible. Small wedding, she said. Just family and close friends. Agreed. Though my sister will try to invite everyone she's ever met. Patricia will want to help plan. Is that weird? It's perfect. She should be involved. And she hesitated. I'd like to include something of Daniel's, maybe his favorite poem in the program, or donate to his scholarship fund in lieu of gifts. Something. Whatever feels right to you. She leaned against me. You're too good to be true sometimes. I'm really not. I'm just a guy who makes coffee and loves you. My favorite kind of guy. September came, bringing with it the anniversary of Daniel's death. I offered to close the shop, to spend the day however she needed, but she insisted on working. Staying busy helps, she said. Besides, 3:47 is just a time now. It doesn't own me anymore. Still, when 3:47 approached, I watched her carefully. She was making a sandwich when the clock chimed, and she paused, just for a moment. Then she smiled at the customer, finished the order, and continued on. You okay? I asked during a quiet moment. Yeah. I said goodbye at the cemetery this morning. Brought him coffee. The good stuff. Like you make. Told him about our plans. I think he'd be happy for us. I know he would. That evening, Patricia and Robert joined us for dinner at the shop. We'd started a tradition of monthly dinners, a way to stay connected, to honor Daniel's memory while building new relationships. 2 years, Patricia said softly. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime, Sophia added. Robert raised his glass. To Daniel, and to the family he brought together. We toasted, and I felt the truth of his words. We were a strange family, bound by loss and love in equal measure, but family nonetheless. October arrived with its familiar dance of falling leaves and shorter days. The shop hummed with autumn energy, pumpkin lattes and apple cider, cinnamon scones and butternut squash soup. We should set a date, Sophia said one morning, apropos of nothing. 4? The wedding. Next summer, maybe? June? June's perfect. Small ceremony in the morning. Reception here at the shop. I love it. She grinned. Good. Because I already asked Patricia to help plan, and she has ideas. Of course she does. The planning began in earnest. Guest lists and flower arrangements, menu tastings and music selections. Through it all, Daniel's presence was acknowledged but not overwhelming. His parents helped choose readings. Sophia incorporated his favorite flowers into her bouquet. We decided to donate to his scholarship fund and serve his grandmother's lemon cake recipe. It's like he's part of it without overshadowing it. Sophia explained to my sister, who'd worried about the unconventional approach. That's beautiful, Sarah admitted. Weird, but beautiful. November brought an unexpected visitor. A young woman, early 20s, appeared at the counter during the lunch rush. "Are you Sophia Miller?" she asked. "Yes." "I'm Ashley Chen. No relation," she added, glancing at me. "I was one of Mr. Miller's students." Sophia's hand found mine behind the counter. "Oh." "I wanted to thank you," Ashley continued in a rush. "Mr. Miller wrote my college recommendation letter before the accident. I got into Columbia, full scholarship. I wouldn't be there without him." "That's wonderful," Sophia managed. "He'd be so proud." "I'm sorry for your loss," Ashley said. "He talked about you all the time, how you were his best friend, his favorite person. He said you made the world brighter just by being in it." Sophia was crying openly now. "Thank you for telling me that." "I have something for you." Ashley pulled out an envelope. "I wrote him a letter when I got in, to thank him. But then, I never got to give it to him. I thought maybe you'd want it." Sophia took the letter with shaking hands. After Ashley left, we read it together in the back office. It was beautiful, full of gratitude and promise. The impact of a good teacher rippling outward. "He mattered," Sophia whispered. "His life mattered." "Of course it did. Look at all the lives he touched. Ashley, his other students, his family, you, and you. In a way, without him, we might never have met." It was true. Daniel's death had brought Sophia to my coffee shop, to that corner table at 347, tragedy transforming slowly into something beautiful. December came with its festive chaos. We strung lights around the shop, added peppermint mochas and gingerbread to the menu. Sophia instituted random acts of coffee, paying for strangers' drinks throughout the day. "It's what Daniel used to do," she explained. "Buy coffee for the person behind him in line. I want to continue it." The tradition caught on. Soon customers were buying drinks for each other, leaving notes of encouragement, creating chains of kindness that lasted hours. "You've turned us into a movement," I told her one evening, watching two strangers bond over shared coffee. "We all need more connection," she said simply. On December 20th, it snowed. Big, fat flakes that turned the city into a snow globe. The shop was quiet, most people staying home. Sophia and I worked in companionable silence, serving the few brave souls who ventured out. At 3:47, she made 2 cups of coffee and handed me one. "What's this for?" "New tradition," she said. "Every day at 3:47, we stop for coffee together. Transform the time from something sad to something sweet. I like it." We clinked cups and drank, watching the snow fall past our windows. In that moment, everything felt possible. Christmas Eve. We hosted a party at the shop for our regular customers. The place was packed, full of laughter and music and community. Mrs. Chen brought her famous dumplings. Tom played guitar. Patricia and Robert mingled easily, having become fixtures in our extended family. "Look what we built," Sophia said, surveying the scene. "Look what you built," I corrected. "I just made the coffee." "We built it together. That's what partners do. James arrived near the end of the party, nervous but welcomed. He'd brought his new girlfriend, Kate, who taught English at Daniel's old school. Watching Sophia embrace them both, I marveled at the human capacity for forgiveness and growth. "Thank you," James said to me quietly, "for taking care of her, for making her happy." "She makes herself happy," I said. "I just get to witness it." As the party wound down, Sophia stood on a chair, raising her glass. "A toast," she announced. "To second chances. To the people who catch us when we fall. To love in all its forms. And to the velvet bean, where broken hearts come to heal." Everyone cheered and drank. I helped her down from the chair, spinning her into a kiss that tasted like cinnamon and promise. "I love you," she whispered against my lips. "I love you too. Always." Even when I make speeches on chairs? Especially then. New Year's Eve was quiet. We chose to spend it at my apartment, cooking together, dancing to jazz in my tiny kitchen. As midnight approached, we stood on my fire escape, watching fireworks bloom over the city. "Any resolutions?" I asked. "Just one. To stop living in the past or the future. To be present in each moment." "That's a good one." "What about you?" "To marry you," I said simply. "Everything else is just details." She kissed me as the clock struck 12, as one year ended and another began. As our story continued to unfold in ways neither of us could have imagined, January flew by in a whirl of wedding planning and winter storms. The shop became our command center, with Patricia commandeering a corner table for her color-coordinated binders and fabric swatches. "I've created a monster," Sophia laughed, watching her former mother-in-law debate napkin colors with military precision. "She's happy," I observed. "This gives her purpose. It gives her a chance to plan the wedding she never got to see," Sophia said softly. "Daniel and I eloped. She never forgave us for that. Do you regret it?" "No. It was perfect for us then. Just like this is perfect for us now." February brought Valentine's Day again. But this time, Sophia was ready. She'd organized a Love Stories event at the shop, inviting customers to share how they met their partners. The stories ranged from hilarious to heartbreaking, each one a reminder that love comes in countless forms. "We should share ours," someone called out. Sophia looked at me, questioning. I nodded. "We met here," she began. "I was grieving my late husband, coming in every day at the exact time he died, trying to find something solid to hold on to. And I was divorced and convinced I was better off alone," I continued. "Then this beautiful woman started ordering terrible black coffee every day. My coffee order was not terrible. It was tragic. No cream, no sugar, no joy." The audience laughed. We told our story, the slow friendship, the careful courtship, the way love had snuck up on us both. "The thing about second chances," Sophia concluded, "is that they're not really second at all. They're just different chapters in the same story, and every chapter matters." After the event, an elderly man approached us. "Lost my wife 3 years ago," he said gruffly. Haven't been able to move forward? Hearing your story? Maybe it's time to try. It's never too late, Sophia told him gently. The heart has infinite capacity for love. March brought spring and a surprise. Tom announced he was moving to Seattle for graduate school. I'm sorry, he said. I know the timing sucks with the wedding and everything. Don't apologize, I said. This is amazing. We're proud of you. Really? Really? Though we'll miss you terribly. I'll train my replacement thoroughly, he promised. And I'll be back for the wedding. Wild horses couldn't keep me away. Watching him train the new barista, a cheerful woman named Rosa, I reflected on how the velvet bean had become a launching pad for people's dreams, just as it had been for Sophia and me. We're going to need more staff, Sophia mused one evening. If we keep growing like this, good problem to have. The best, she agreed. April arrived with a burst of cherry blossoms and wedding fever. Dress fittings and cake tastings consumed our weekends. My sister appointed herself unofficial wedding coordinator, armed with spreadsheets and a determination to make everything perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect, Sophia told her. Just real. Real can also be perfect, Sarah countered. Trust me. The bachelor party was low-key, just me, Tom, who flew in for the weekend, and a few friends at a local bar. But at midnight, we ended up at the shop, making coffee and talking about life. You know she saved you, right? Tom said, slightly drunk on whiskey and sentiment. We saved each other. No, man. She literally saved you. Before her, you were just existing, going through the motions. Now, you're alive. He was right. Sophia had brought color back to my gray world, had reminded me that life was worth living fully. To Sophia, I raised my coffee cup. To Sophia, they echoed. May bloomed with anticipation. Final preparations fell into place. Flowers ordered. Menu finalized. Vows written and rewritten. The shop hummed with excited energy as regulars offered help and advice. I'm nervous, Sophia admitted one night, 2 weeks before the wedding. About marrying me? No, never that. About. She struggled for words. About being happy. About letting myself be fully, completely happy without waiting for something bad to happen. I know, I said. But that's trauma talking. Not truth. You're allowed to be happy. Sophia, Daniel would want you to be happy. He would. She agreed. He really would love you. You know. You're both teachers in your own way. He taught history. You teach people that mornings can be bearable with good coffee. High praise indeed. She grew serious. I mean it. Marcus, you've taught me how to live again. How to hope. How to love without fear. That's no small thing. You taught me the same, I reminded her. We're good teachers together. June arrived in a flourish of sunshine and roses the night before the wedding. We held the rehearsal dinner at the shop. Family and friends mingled, sharing stories and toasting our future. Patricia stood to speak, tapping her glass for attention. "When we lost Daniel," she began, voice steady. "I thought we'd lost Sophia too. She was so much a part of him, and he of her, that I couldn't imagine one without the other." Sophia gripped my hand under the table. "But life has a way of surprising us," Patricia continued, "of bringing people together in unexpected ways. Marcus, you gave us our daughter back. You helped her find her smile again. And Sophia, you've given Marcus the family he deserves. Daniel." Her voice cracked slightly. "Daniel would be so happy to see this, to know that love won." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Robert stood and raised his glass. "To love winning. To love winning." We all echoed, "That night." Sophia stayed at Patricia and Robert's house. Tradition, she insisted, even if it was their second marriages. I lay in my empty bed, thinking about the journey that had brought us here. From that first black coffee to tomorrow's white dress, every step had been worth it. The wedding day dawned perfect, clear skies, gentle breeze, the kind of June morning that felt like a gift. I stood at the altar, really just a decorated corner of the shop, trying not to fidget as guests filled the seats we'd arranged. Tom, my best man, squeezed my shoulder. "Breathe. I'm breathing. Breathe more." The music started, a jazz arrangement of "The Nearness of You," the song that had almost broken us once. Now it felt like a benediction. Sophia appeared in the doorway, and my breath caught. She wore a simple cream dress that flowed like water, carrying a bouquet of yellow roses, Daniel's favorites, mixed with white jasmine. But it was her smile that stopped my heart. Radiant, unguarded, complete. Robert walked her down the aisle, kissing her cheek before placing her hand in mine. "Take care of her," he whispered. "Always." I promised. The ceremony was simple, perfect. We'd written our own vows, promising not just to love, but to grow together, to honor the past while building the future, to make really good coffee for the rest of our lives. That got a laugh. "I thought I knew what love was," Sophia said, voice clear and strong. "But you've taught me it has infinite forms, that it can survive loss and bloom again. Different, but equal. You are my second chance, my unexpected gift, my daily choice. I promise to choose you every morning, especially at 3:47. You walked into my shop and my life on an ordinary Tuesday," I replied, "and made everything extraordinary. You've shown me that broken hearts can heal, that love isn't limited, that happiness isn't betrayal. You are my teacher, my partner, my favorite customer. I promise to make you excellent coffee every day and terrible puns at inappropriate times. I now pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant declared. "You may kiss." We were already kissing, the shop erupting in cheers and applause. When we finally broke apart, I saw James wiping his eyes, Patricia beaming, my sister frantically taking photos. "Hello, husband," Sophia whispered. "Hello, wife." The reception flowed seamlessly, the shop transformed with lights and flowers. We'd kept things simple: good food, better coffee, the best people. Marie's bakery had outdone themselves with a cake decorated to look like coffee cups. "Dance with me," Sophia said as the jazz trio began playing. We swayed together in our coffee shop, surrounded by the community we'd built. Mrs. Chen was teaching Robert to foxtrot. Tom was flirting with Rosa. Patricia was deep in conversation with my mother about grandchildren, too soon, but inevitable. "How does it feel?" I asked. "Being happy?" "Like coming home," she said simply. "Like finally coming home." As the evening wound down, we made the rounds, thanking guests, sharing moments. Near the end, I found Sophia at her old corner table, the 347 table, staring out the window. "You okay?" "More than okay," she said. I was just thinking about that first day, how I sat here convinced my life was over, and now I know it was just beginning. We left the reception in a shower of coffee beans. My sister's idea, rice was too conventional, she said. As we drove away, I glanced back at the Velvet Bean & Co., glowing warmly in the night. "No honeymoon?" Sophia asked. "Are you kidding? Tomorrow's Sunday? Who'll make the coffee?" She laughed. "Marcus Chen, are you telling me you're prioritizing coffee over your new wife?" "Never. But Rosa's still learning the Sunday routine." "Drive us home," she said. "We'll figure out the coffee tomorrow." Together? Always together. A year later, on our first anniversary, Sophia handed me a small wrapped box at exactly 3:47 p.m. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside was a pregnancy test. Positive. "But..." I stared at it, stunned. The doctors said I couldn't. "Apparently, doctors can be wrong," she said, glowing. "Surprise?" I swept her into my arms, spinning her around the shop as customers applauded, not knowing why, but celebrating anyway. "We're having a baby," I said, wonder in my voice. "We're having a baby," she confirmed. That night, we sat on her old building's roof. We'd kept the access even after she moved in with me. The city sprawled before us, full of possibility. "You know what this means?" she said. "What?" "We'll need to add a kids' menu." I laughed. "Of course that's where your mind goes. And maybe a play corner. Oh, and those little cups for hot chocolate." "Sophia." "Yeah? I love you. I love you too. Both of us do." We named him Daniel Marcus Chen. He was born at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in March, as if even he knew the significance of that time. Patricia sobbed when we told her the name. Robert couldn't speak at all. "He has your eyes," Sophia murmured, exhausted but radiant. "Poor kid," I joked, but I was crying too. Danny, as we called him, grew up in the coffee shop. His first steps were between the tables. His first words were coffee, actually copy, but we knew what he meant. He had Daniel's laugh and Sophia's stubborn streak, and my apparent immunity to caffeine. "We've created a monster," Sophia said one day, watching 3-year-old Danny perfectly steam milk under Rosa's careful supervision. "We've created a barista," I corrected. The Velvet Bean & Co. thrived, becoming a neighborhood institution. We opened that second location, then a third. But the original shop remained our heart, the place where broken people came to heal, where love surprised us all. Daniel Miller's scholarship fund grew too, supported by coffee sales and community donations. Every year, we hosted a fundraiser on his birthday. Students he'd taught came back to share their successes. Ashley Chen, now a teacher herself, spoke about the ripple effects of kindness. "He's everywhere," Sophia said one year, watching the packed shop full of Daniel's legacy, in his students, in this place, in our son. "Death isn't the end of impact. Love wins," I said, echoing that long-ago toast. "Love always wins," she agreed. 5 years after our wedding, I found Sophia at the 347 table, Danny coloring beside her. She was staring out the window, but her expression was peaceful. "Remembering?" I asked. "Appreciating," she corrected. "All of it. The pain that brought me here. The love that kept me here. The life we've built. Any regrets?" "Not one." "You?" "Only that I didn't put comfortable chairs in sooner. My back is killing me," she laughed. "Old man, you're not even 40. 40 is the new 30. Is that what we're telling ourselves?" Danny looked up from his coloring. "Mama, can I make Papa a coffee? His back hurts." "Of course, baby, but use the decaf." "Traitor," I called after them as they headed to the coffee bar. That evening, after we'd closed and Danny was asleep in the office, Sophia and I cleaned up together. The familiar rhythm of end-of-day tasks. The comfortable silence of partners who knew each other completely. "Marcus? Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me that first day. Really seeing me. For waiting until I was ready. For loving all of me. Even the broken parts. Especially the broken parts," I corrected. "They're what made you strong." She kissed me then, in our coffee shop, surrounded by the life we'd built from loss and hope and really good coffee. Years passed. Danny grew. The business expanded. But every day at 347, Sophia and I stopped for coffee together. Our ritual, our remembrance, our celebration. Because that's what love does. It transforms the worst moments into foundations for joy. It takes tragedy and builds something beautiful. It teaches us that hearts, like coffee shops, can always make room for one more. And in the Velvet Bean & Co., where the coffee is excellent and the sandwiches are legendary, where jazz plays softly and sunlight streams through windows, where a corner table holds memories and promises in equal measure, love wins. It always wins. Every single day at 347,